classic from Australia's only super speedway. An absolute crackerjack field of 30 starters here at Calder Thunderdome. And the machinery now coming out onto the circuit. A capacity crowd also here in attendance today for what promises to be the most competitive NASCAR event ever seen in Australia. Let's take a look at the top 10, the way the top drivers line up. Pole position, car number 24, Dick Trickle in the Cairns Resort Oldsmobile, 28.31. From 2 is Lost Creek, West Virginia's Rodney Combs, 28.54. From 3, Terry Labonte in an Oldsmobile, 28.58. From 4, the first of the Aussies, Freddie Seary in the CRC Commodore V in 28.60. Behind him, from position 5, car number 11, Robin Best in the Ford Thunderbird, 28.72. Out of position 6 is Kenny Schrader, the man who sat on pole for this year's Daytona 500. From 7, car number 6, Sydney's John Laws in an Oldsmobile Delta. Position number 8, the find of the season, 77, Steve Cosson, a youngster who won the NASCAR Championship Series. From 9 is 73, Phil Barkdoll to share with Joe Ruttman. And position number 10, 55, George Elliott of Sydney in the Real McCoy Chevy Lumina. And the field coming past the start-finishing line now. Spectators standing en masse, waving their hats and their T-shirts to the drivers as they go around on the parade lap. Tremendous atmosphere here at Calder Thunderdome, and no doubt, Neil, that this place and probably this race has certainly come of age.
Absolutely. I can't believe the crowd here today. They've been really enjoying their motorsport, and it's a tremendous field of cars.
We've given the top 10, Mike Oliver. Melbourne driver starts out of position 11. Kim Jane, another local, out of position number 12. Terry Fisher from the United States out of 13. 14 is 75 Clay Young from the United States. Jerry Bowers from the States starts out of 15. Mike Potter out of 16. Terry Sawyer, the young Melbourne girl, out of position number 17. One to watch, perhaps, Max Dumsney, the winner of the Winfield Sprint Car Series last year, out of 18. Ron Esau out of position number 19. Car sitting in behind the pace car, probably one more lap before we get this race underway. 20 is Terry Byers, who has campaigned out of Sydney and the United States this year. Barry Blake of Western Australia from position 21. Steve Harrington of Melbourne out of 22. JC Danielson from the States out of 23. Nick Girdlestone from 24. Walter Giles, the ex-Speedway pavement flat tracker from position number 25 in 91. Ian Thomas of Cairns out of 26. Paul Freestone, the truck racer, out of 27. Tony Howlett, 28. Charlie Kovac, 29. And 71, Neville Harper, starts out of position 30. And right up the back of the field, from position number 31, is the man who won this race last year, Alan Grice, in the Valvoline Amiga Commodore. Slammed it into the wall on Friday after being one of the top 5 guys around the track. Couldn't get out in time to qualify yesterday and is doing it from the back of the field. He's carrying Dulux Auto Colour race cam for you. There's the view out of the front, and we also have a camera in the cockpit as well. So I believe that we have every aspect of the NASCAR Christmas 400 covered. Pace car pulling down to the inside of the track. We could be ready this time for the start. Yes, stand by for the start of the 4th annual NASCAR Christmas 400 from Melbourne's Calder Park Thunderdome. Coming in for the start, and it's Rocket Rodney Combs, who gets out quickly on the outside of the front row. He'll lead Trickle, Labonte, then Freddie Seary getting up smartly. Kenny Schrader also very quickly as they storm down into the first turn. There goes the field as we pick up Rodney Combs leading. Dick Trickle on the back straightaway. Terry Labonte runs in 3rd. Fred Seary, the first of the Commodores, in 4th place. Then Kenny Schrader, Robin Best, very, very quickly indeed. And John Law's well positioned as they come through for the completion of the first lap.
Great start from Rodney Combs. He really read the flag well and got a good gap even in the first half lap. Dick Trickle in behind. Labonte just sitting there well positioned at the moment, and Seary still the leading Australian in 4th place, but giving away a few metres already to this leading trio. But Combs really working well at the present time.
Yeah, it's good to see. No stranger to Australia. He's run the short tracks in Australia for the last 10 or 12 years. Co-director with Sydney's Barry Graham and Richard Petty with the NASCAR Racing School in the United States. And is actually subbing this weekend for Barry Graham. Here's Grice. The Dulux Auto Colour race cam is the man who starts off position 31. takes the dip into the bottom turn. Now running about 25th on the grid. Just look at Grice work here on the back straightaways. Switches to the outside, coming up on Walter Giles there on the left. And just ahead of him is Ian Thomas. So Grice out there and doing the best he can in a rather packed field. As Rodney Combs continues to lead, that's getting a little closer up at the front. Dick Trickle, short track racer in the United States with something like about 800 wins, sits in second, and Terry Labonte, a former Winston Cup NASCAR champion, running in third, and it is door handle to door handle. We've had one go sideways on the back straight. Whether or not the yellow flag comes out, at the moment it's Labonte down on the inside of Dick Trickle. The yellow now comes out. And there's the reason we have a yellow flag at the moment. Kim Jane, number 27, the Goodyear entry, has slammed off the wall on the back straight, and the crews are working to try and get the car off the circuit. As soon as they do, we go back to green. Pace car bringing the field now off turn number 4. It will drop to pit lane, and it'll be Rodney Combs to pick up the pace with Dick Trickle. Coming in for the start now, Trickle and Combs go onto the throttle at the same time, and Terry Labonte moves up quickly with them. So too does Kenny Schrader. Robin Best down the outside. Great shot as they go beneath our speed camera through the tri-oval down to turn number 1. And here they come along the back straight, all of them absolutely howling. Rodney Combs in the McInerney Oldsmobile going up into turn number 3. Trickle sitting right on his tail, and great run here from Terry Labonte moving to the outside. They come back through the tri-oval, and it's pretty tight up the front as Terry Labonte goes down the outside. Little exploration there in the Sunoco entry, looking for second spot. Kenny Schrader and Barkdahl also running the same draft. Like a fighter squadron as they peel down into turn number 3. Disciplined driving at very high speed as they come back through the tri-oval. Combs still leading the parade, and here's Labonte down the outside. Trickle with some smoke coming out of the back of the 24 car.
Yes, halfway down the front straight that time, it really gave a gush of blue smoke, and it's getting worse as he runs up the back straight.
Combs staying to the low side. Terry Labonte. Trickle closes in again behind them as they come through turn number 4. Combs doing a good job. Labonte's car, plenty of long legs. Schrader sitting comfortably back there in 4th spot, just behind the leaders. And Phil Barkdahl, who shares today.
Fred Seary to the pits in car 8, was running 4th, qualified 4th, highest Australian in qualifying.
And in the pits. Great scrap going for the lead as Labonte down the inside, this time with Rodney Combs through the tri-oval, and he's got Combs one out and will take the lead. Terry Labonte goes through to take the lead now. Combs still sitting in second. Dick Trickle in 3rd spot, and now looking for an inside run at Rodney Combs as they work the back straight. Pulls alongside, and that puts Combs now back to 3rd.
Dulux Auto Colour race cam, and this is Grice at work. He's in amongst a bunch of cars here at the moment.
Coming up here on the inside car number 83 as they go down to the bottom turn. Looks like Jerry Bowes, he takes him on the inside.
This track is hard work.
It sure is.
And 220 laps worth of it is going to really test these guys. We've seen plenty of fellas come out of this race in years gone by totally exhausted, unable to stand.
That's Barry Blake of Western Australia, Grice passing. Kenny Schrader works away at Rodney Combs for 3rd place. Phil Barkdahl, 73, also looming as a threat here. Barkdahl, a regular on the NASCAR Winston Cup Trail, sharing today with Joe Ruttman. Bad luck for Terry Sawyer, young lass who looks like she's out of it very early with an engine problem. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah, Terry came in just a second ago. There's a lot of steam pouring from the engine bay. They swapped the two outside tyres, which is mandatory, I guess, but Terry's not moving very fast and the crew look like they've given up, so looks like a major engine problem down here, Mike.
Thanks very much, mate. Rodney Combs gets the go-by from Kenny Schrader. Phil Barkdoll's number 73 car sits back behind him.
Got a car out of shape up in turn two, I should say.
I think it's Fred Seary, is it not? And Grice has gone via the infield.
Grice was involved in it as well. I think he was the first car in strife. There's Seary.
Grice continues along. The car's behind the pace car. Let's have a look at our Tonka Toys replay and see exactly what happened. We're in race cam with Alan Grice heading down into turn number 1, and he's got it really around sideways here, trying to catch it and save it. Still fighting it. So has he what? And quite obviously that little move from Grice preceded maybe some evasive action that Fred Seary was trying to take.
Have a go at the wheel work. I mean, that was slow motion, yet Grice's arms were in sort of double speed.
And the race restarts behind Grice as they head to the bottom turn. Terry Labonte will lead them away. Pace really on, and Labonte trying to stretch this as he works his way down the front straight, holding an 8 or probably 4-car break over Kenny Schrader. Very, very fast indeed through this turn as they make their way to the back straight. Whoa, and we've had a spin down the front straightaway right in front of the grandstand. Car number 88, that's Tony Howlett. Gave them an anxious moment, he got it loose.
Fred Seary speared off once again, car number 8. And as I said before, that car was showing ominous signs that there was going to be a problem down the track, and I think we've just seen the aftermath of it.
He heads back. There is our race leader, Terry Labonte. Gap out to about 1.5 seconds over Dick Trickle. So let's check them out on our race score for you. Here's how they run. Race leader of the Christmas 400 is Terry Labonte in the Sunoco Oldsmobile. Second, Dick Trickle. In the Oldsmobile, third is Phil Barkdoll. Fourth, Kenny Schrader. And the first of the Aussies. And car number 11, Robin Best, runs fifth. Don't go. The Alan Grice Dulux Auto Colour race cam. Our track cam out the front of the car. As Gricey works away at the inside of Steve Cosson in the number 77 car. That's Rodney Combs on the inside, car number 2. As Grice pulls up behind him, going down the back straight. Notice the dip in the track there. Sits in behind Combs. And we'll now try and accelerate. It's almost like a hill as they appear out of turn number 4 now.
Yeah, there's a couple of fairly decent lumps in the track that, as Dick Trickle said earlier in the week, in turn 3 particularly, the track just disappears from underneath you. It really leaves the cars leaping around.
There's Terry Labonte putting a lap around the outside of Alan Grice in the Sunoco 94 Oldsmobile. Gee, he's running like he's on rails today. Dick Trickle still running in second. He's the last car that you can see there in your pack. Sitting right behind Alan Grice, about to put a lap on Grice as they come down the front straight. They pass Terry Byers in car number 26, so there's plenty of traffic to deal with here.
It's brought the gap down to 0.3 of a second, and if you recall, it was out to 2 and 3 seconds there at various stages. This is a disappointment for Alan Grice, who fully expected, no doubt, to be right on the pace. He's demonstrated that he's more than capable of doing the job, but it's been a tough weekend technically.
Some difficulty there for Terry Labonte trying to thread the needle at the same time.
Yeah, obviously, they just don't have the balance with the Grice car that people like Labonte and Trickle have got. I mean, just look at the way they've got their cars set up, and look at the way they're driving them.
Out around the wall.
Able to maintain what appears from the outsider like a qualifying pace, lap after lap after lap.
Oh.
Such is the intensity. Car 69 making it difficult for Labonte, and Dick Trickle's loving this.
Yes, he's closed it up.
Charles Kovac, the Australian offender. Now they're clear.
Okay, we have a real race going here in the NASCAR Christmas 400. They move on to the back straight. Terry Labonte, former Winston Cup winner, leads from Dick Trickle. Car number 24. This guy just runs the same pace, lap after lap, Labonte.
That's what I find very impressive. Great concentration, tremendous preparation, and we've had a car lose an engine on the front straight.
Them. There you can see it. I'm not sure. I think it may well be car number 74.
Nice of him to spread oil from one end of the place to the other.
That's Mike Potter. Potter has done a hell of a job of ventilating a motor. Yellow flag comes out. Just checking them out for you. The running order, Terry Labonte, 54 laps completed, holding less than a second lead over Dick Trickle. The number 73, Phil Barkdale, car runs behind them as they decide to come in under the yellow flag for a quick pit stop. Now watch the American teams. Number 94, watch the Billy Hagan team go to work. Here's Dick Trickle's team. The Cairns Colonial Club Resort, Ian Thomas, a Cairns businessman who has got into the NASCAR teams, has 2 cars, one provided for Dick Trickle. These are the Kodak cars from the United States that have been running at the front of the field through season 90. And the Billy Hagan team servicing 94 Terry Labonte in the Sunoco Oldsmobile. Now with the jumble up of positions, they can afford to take their time. They know how oily it is out there, and they know it's going to be a few laps under the yellow. Give it a full set of shoes. Trouble-free. And the Phil Barkdale car now assumes the lead spot. Phil is a regular on the NASCAR Winston Cup Trail, and was lucky enough to pick up Joe Ruttman, a former Daytona pole sitter. 60 laps completed in the NASCAR Christmas 400 from Melbourne's Calder Park Thunderdome. Hope you're enjoying 7's same-day coverage as we prepare for the restart. Phil Barkdale to lead away from Kenny Schrader, Robin Best, Terry Labonte, Terry Fisher and Dick Trickle coming off turn number 4. Trickle with a gearbox problem. Well, one starts out the outside. We'll pick him up for you in a second, but he's come charging down the outside. Number 09 it was, Terry Fisher. Great shot beneath our speed camera as the entire field heads down into turn number 1. And we pick them up moving onto the back straight. Phil Barkdale, race leader. And moving up smartly on the outside comes Terry Labonte.
The word from the pits is that Dick Trickle only has 4th gear, which would explain why he's so lethargic at the start.
Well, he's going to do it tough all day. I bet he hopes he doesn't cop a yellow flag with about 5 laps to go. It's down into turn number 1. Kenny Schrader is your race leader, the man who sat on pole for this year's Daytona 500, a winner of the Busch Clash. And Terry Labonte storming down the inside of him as they come along the back straight. So the order unchanged. Phil Barkdale, number 73, leads through turn number 4, back onto the start-finishing straight. Labonte now to 2nd. Kenny Schrader goes back to 3rd. 09 Terry Fisher running a very strong race. Now up into 4th place, 1 spot ahead of Robin Best, and then Ron Esau in car number 56. Bradley Jones, the winner of the Goodyear Oscar Classic, joins us, and as on the inside we have our race lead change with Barkdale caught wide, Terry Labonte down on the inside to take back the lead. So he's doing it very comfortably. I guess nothing beats a well set up car, Bradley.
Well, so it would seem. That thing of Labonte's is really motoring out the front there. He's doing it quite easily. The guy in 2nd place, Phil, is running one of Rusty Wallace's engines, actually, so that car seems very strong, and I think he'll be one to watch towards the end.
They come off turn number 4, back through the tri-oval again. Here comes our race leader, Terry Labonte, 34 years of age, comes from Corpus Christi in Texas, 84 Winston Cup champion, the 89 IROC champion, 361 starts, 10 wins, and career winning so far a miserable $6.2 million. A professional race car driver. And he's showing us that here this afternoon at Calder Thunderdome as he leads the NASCAR Christmas 400 in car number 94. Into the bottom turn, Labonte opening that gap over Phil Barkdoll and Kenny Schrader. He has what appears to be almost a perfect setup for the racetrack, Neil.
It looks to be clearly ahead of the rest in that area for sure. The car just seems perfectly behaved. He's got it working really nicely.
Oh,
we have
Max,
a car out of shape.
Max Dummersney.
Yeah, Max has got it loose down there, managed to catch it again. Now he's got to try and fire it up, which he does, and that's Max's only indiscretion of the weekend. We're just giving him a huge rap of how well he was running.
It's a pretty tough job to come out of a sprint car and run around here, I would think, and Max has done it very, very well.
He certainly has. He was up there running in about 8th spot. That's putting back a few, but that's part of the learning curve, I guess.
Just looking at the Labonte car, Brad, the thing just is working well, isn't it? The car just seems settled, and he's able to come back through the pack whenever he likes and just drive off into the distance, and that's what he's doing again right now.
Well, with these cars, they can change the stagger of the tyre, which is the actual tyre size, to get the car handling right. If it's got a little bit of understeer or oversteer, they just change the size of the tyres until they get the optimum setting, and they spend most of the race chasing that setup. Obviously, he's found his very early on.
Here's the second group, and of course Kenny Schrader has managed to get by on the inside. There's Kenny, car number 12, the second of the Robin Best cars. Rec Air supported for the weekend. He's running strongly. He's just gone past Phil Barkdoll in 73.
Oops, Dummersney's gone again.
It's a little spin, but he's caught it by the look of it.
Yeah, they're just rounding him up now as they head into turn 3. That was Dummersney down low in 5. As he came off turn 2, he had the car all out of shape. It's definitely not his favourite corner at the moment.
Well, I'd say Max's car's getting pretty loose, and that's not a nice way to have your car around here with the back hanging out. Once you hit that concrete wall, it's all over. So Max is struggling along, waiting for a yellow so he can go in and probably change a stagger or a setup on his car. I'd say his tyres are fairly square at this stage too, so it wouldn't be a nice thing to be strapped into.
They come down the back straight. Here's Phil Barkdoll going through on the inside, 73. Right behind him, 09, Terry Fisher, another of the Americans. Got a great run down the outside in the restart. He's been running consistently in the top 5 since this race started. Schrader goes by.
Physically, how tough is it in one of these things around here, Brad, for 220 laps? So it's projected to be around about a 2.5-hour race.
Very, very demanding. They tend to get them in on pattern and stroke them along, but it's really humid out there. That Oscar race was one of the toughest races I've had for a while.
Ran nearly an hour and 50 minutes, so it's a long time in the seat.
The good thing is you do get a bit of a rest and you can have a drink when the yellows come out, but the humidity down there is quite high, so they'd be feeling the pinch. I'm surprised a few of the Americans haven't got their cool suits on, actually.
Are these things a lot harder to drive? I mean, is it just the sheer weight of the car start to wear you down?
No, not really. I think the hardest thing about one of these things compared with an Oscar is the fact that the G-forces are a bit higher through the turn, so your neck suffers more than anything, but they have a fair few comforts in them. It's just the heat and the G's in the turns.
Labonte opening that gap all the time over Kenny Schrader.
Ooh, Laws is really loose.
Gone. It's loose. It's down through the infield. Stay off the wall.
Saved it.
He did. Not a bad job, and I think that's the second one down there this afternoon.
He was okay at 120 mile an hour, but when he got down to about 20 or 30, it all got a bit hard. Got sideways on the grass on the recovery. Now he's back underway. He's kept the fire burning, though, and no yellow flag.
So he'll head back in, hopefully, to the pits and check out the tyres, the 4 square ones he's running at the moment.
Yeah.
Rodney Combs goes by in car number 2. Pit stop to change the setup in the car. He certainly looks a lot more comfortable in it at the moment and seems to be doing better lap time. So Rodney, who was up there leading the pack for the opening 10 laps of this race, the car that Barry Graham was assigned to race in this weekend, but he's elected to stay back in the States at Charlotte and persevere with that NASCAR racing school that he and Richard Petty are running over there so successfully. There's the Laws brothers entry in the pits. away it goes. They're back racing again after a quick pit stop.
So the order, Labonte with 78 laps down, Ken Schrader in second, Phil Barkdoll in third, Terry Fisher in fourth, Robin Best fifth, Ron Esau, Clay Young, Ian Thomas, Terry Byers, Max Dumsney. We're looking at Dick Trickle for more information on that problem. Mark Osler.
Yeah, Dick Trickle's having all sorts of problems. He's got a bad weight balance problem. They're trying to jack more and more weight into the car to sort out this voracious tyre appetite the car's got. It's going through them very quickly. They've also got a problem with the gearbox. Dick lost all his gears in top gear at the start of the race, so the whole time he's been running in top gear. He has to do a gigantic clutch slip every time he gets the thing out of the pit, so he's got a lot of problems.
Thank you, Mark. It's like a cool drink as well. Another running without gloves. Terry Labonte, meantime, in the Sunoco number 94 Oldsmobile, heads down the back straight. There's our race leader, Terry Labonte, coming off turn number 4. Let's check out the race score for you at the moment, see how they are running the top 5. Terry Labonte in car number 94, holding that break of about 4.2 seconds over Kenny Schrader. Third is Phil Barkdoll of the United States. Fourth is Terry Fisher. And rounding out the 5 Tasmania's Robin Best back at Calder in. Comes in, and it'll be 23 leading them down across the line. That's Ian Thomas driving the second of the cars, the Colonial Resort cars from Cairns. Dick Trickle, of course, again on the restart, gets caught running 4th gear, and they all just run away from him. It'll take him 2 or 3 laps to wind it back up again. So Ian Thomas doing a good job here. It's another guy with very limited NASCAR experience. In fact, I think his only previous pavement experience was in a speed car running in Sydney on the pavement. 23 leads, but the man who's getting closer all the time to him here on the inside is, of course, Kenny Schrader. Mike Oliver in there as well. He's already down a lap. Schrader persistently works away at the inside as Ian Thomas tends to go a little wide there. So it's Schrader and Ian Thomas side by side down the front straight. Schrader going through to take over the lead, or is he? Yes, he is now as they exit that turn and come onto the back straight. Problems for American short track racer Dick Trickle. Has pulled to the pits in car number 24.
Dick Trickle, you've had all sorts of problems in the race. What finally put you out?
Well, 3rd gear, you know, we tore the transmission out early in the race, and them restarts all we had was high gear. When we tore the transmission, you know, low 2nd, high 3rd gear out of it, all I had was high, and on the restarts, it got some oil and stuff in the transmission on the clutch, and eventually the clutch went out, so we only had high gear with no clutch, and we couldn't continue no more. But
we just seen during that interview, Terry Labonte in 94 managed to pull back the lead from Kenny Schrader in car number 12. 3rd spot still being held down by Ian Thomas. 4th is Ron Esau. We've had one.
George Elliott's just gone round.
Back straight. Ain't that the real McCoy? He's got it around sideways. Start almost a bushfire. Now George, bring it back under control. Be heading back to the pits. And he, that was a good lose. That was halfway through the turn and tried to correct it all the way to the exit.
Gricey in 12th, battling with Byers.
There's Terry Byers on the inside, car number 26. And Allen trying to nobble him here on the outside, but Byers gets into the turn ahead of him. There's that Pontiac of Byers, so Grice sits in the draft now, swings to the inside as they go down the back straight. At the same time, Byers is trying to pass a slower car as well.
Charlie Kovac, that is.
Who just drops straight across the front of the Commodore.
Oops,
Grice gives him a tap for old time's sake.
And someone's going around the outside.
Robin Best having a lash in car number 11, is it? Yes, it is. I think it's raining out there. In fact, it is.
There's our race cam. That will show you it's raining. That's one thing these cars don't like, and that is racing in the rain. Yellow flag coming out.
It's raining, all right.
It's absolutely pouring here, and there you can see.
Well, Gricey be okay in all this. I don't know about the others.
Wonder if he's got a set of grooved intermediates or something.
Well, you've got to be able to see in
It's
order to
fixed up.
race, and they don't come with windscreen wipers,
No,
these
no.
Winston Cup NASCARs.
It's fixed the crowd too, I can tell you. They're all moving pretty rapidly here in front of us.
It's cooled everyone down. And as you can see, the yellow light on the dashboard was flashing there. Coincided with the track safety lights coming on.
Now, it's not impossible that the race could be declared at this point. Leads.
Well, I think with it raining very, very heavily, that a number of the people have decided that we mightn't get a restart to this. Well, some people might be thinking of leaving. Others are not so sure because they can see a break in the weather. Let's check out how they're running on our race score as the pace car continues to lead the field around. Terry Labonte is your race leader in the Sunoco Oldsmobile. Kenny Schrader is in second in car number 12. Ron Esau in car number 56 runs in third. Ian Thomas, a sterling job, running fourth on the road. And Terry Fisher is fifth. We'll be back at Calder. Just to be minded, wet weather racing in the past, but not necessarily in a NASCAR. Is that right, Alan Grice?
No, the old NASCARs don't like this all that much. I just had two questions for my pit. Where's the wipers and where's the groove tyres? And I can't tell you what they said, Mike.
No, they don't like it, do they? That's it'd be pretty precarious stuff out there with the amount of oil that's been laid there today.
Yeah, and it looks like I got a heap more on my screen, as you could probably see.
Yep.
I've got in fact, I think I don't know what I got, but I can't see anything. Can you see anything, Mike? Are you having a nice day?
We're having a lovely day. We're probably a little better off than you are at the moment. I just wonder what the weather's going to do. Everyone seems to be in two minds.
What do you think? You're in a better position to see than me, I got to say.
I don't know. It depends how quickly this place drains. That's the main thing. And there's another big storm probably about 20 or 30 k's away.
Yeah.
So they'll probably just about get it right and then it'll rain again.
Well, obviously Bob Jane doesn't know about it because I'm sure it wouldn't be raining if he knew.
Well, we'll let you settle in and we'll see what the weather does. And at least if we do get a restart, we hope it's incident-free for you, mate. The second race cam view of the track situation at the moment, courtesy of the Bob Jane T-Marts race cam, riding in Robin Best's Ford Thunderbird, the Uranova entry. Robin having a great race here. His second car, driven by Kenny Schrader, runs second to Terry Labonte. And of course, Robin is running seventh on the road in car number 11, still on the same lap as the leaders. Pace car now bringing the entire field along the pit lane. See whether or not yellow light still flashing.
I think they've dropped the red flag, so what'll happen is they'll stop all these cars in pit lane. No one will be able to do too much to them, and they'll just wait. And as the track dries, they'll go back out again and try and get a bit of heat into the circuit and dry up the wet patches.
Just when they thought the rain had gone away, it has returned yet again. Half made to indicate that the race has been declared at half distance because of the rain. The bad weather has in fact now moved in. It has become very, very dark indeed. And let's cross down now to Mark Osler with the man who has won the rain-shortened 1990 edition Christmas 400. Texan Terry Labonte.
Well, Terry Labonte, you've won the NASCAR Christmas 400, which rapidly became the NASCAR Christmas 250. But it's still a result. How do you feel?
Well, I'm really excited to be here in Victory Lane, and I'll tell you, the Sunoco Oldsmobile ran awful good today. The engine ran strong, the car worked good, the pit crew did a great job. I'm really tickled to be back with this team. I was with them once before, and hopefully this is the beginning of some good things for us.
There are a lot more Aussie drivers in local NASCAR competition now. How would they compare to the guys in the States? Are you happy with the standard here?
Yeah, I tell you, the competition was pretty tough. You know, I think the guys are, every time, from what I understand, when the Americans come down here, the Aussies are better every time. So a few more trips and it's going to be even tougher.
This is your first visit to Bob Jane's Thunderdome. What are your impressions of it? Do you like the circuit?
Well, I tell you, it's an awful nice track, and Bob Jane's put a lot of effort into this thing to make it successful, and I was really tickled to see as many people here as we're here today in the grandstands. I think it's going to be a good deal for down here in Australia. I think that the Americans coming down here, you know, is probably helping a little bit, but I think Bob's got a great thing going here.
You're one of the winningest NASCAR drivers at the moment. We're going to see you back here next year. I'm sure the fans would love to see you back.
Well, I sure hope so. We really enjoyed it, and I hope we get to come back. It's been an awful fun time, and the people down here have been really great.
Thank you, Mark Osler. Let's check out the final finishing order, the top 5 in the 4th edition NASCAR Christmas 400. The win going to Terry Labonte of Texas, second to Kenny Schrader in the Ford Thunderbird, third place to Ron Esau of Neil Crompton, Bradley Jones and Mark Osler, saying good evening to you all, and we'll catch you next time around when 7 Sport goes motor racing.